Hey guys, it's me, Fab. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It, Fab. Listen, guys, I must admit, this episode is going to be a little difficult for me to get through. So I'm going to need your help, okay? I know you're out there in podcast land listening to me, but as I unpack this period in my life, just gonna really need you guys to be a little understanding. Don't come for me in the comments. Yeah, so it's just this is a very tough time for me to talk about, but nonetheless, we are healing, right? We are getting through things, and we know the importance of speaking things out and through. Anyway, so this episode is entitled, I was married for 9 years, but I have actually never been in a marriage. What the hell are you talking about, Fab? We were at the wedding. We were at the ceremony. We saw you walk down the aisle. I had on a wedding dress. People were there. What are you talking about? You've never been in a marriage. So one thing I can say that one mistake that I know women have made over and over and over again is confusing the wedding for a marriage. Two different things. And I think men do it too, confusing what the wedding is in comparison to what the marriage will be. And I can admit, during that time, I was infatuated with the wedding process. The gown, your dress, the people that are gonna be there, the food. Oh my God, just that whole event consumed me. It consumed me. That I forgot about the marriage. I had a white dress on. There was a ceremony. There was a pastor there. There were vows recited. There were people there. There was a wedding. I was married to someone. He was there in the flesh. He read his vows. There's a video. We danced. We celebrated. I was married. There was a wedding ring. But there was never a marriage. So one thing this segment is not. It is not an ex-bashing segment. That's not what we do here. This is a safe space. We talk about things without hurting other people's feelings. However, we are truthful. So I am okay in saying that we were never in a marriage, you guys. We were never in a marriage. And at this age right now of 44, mind you, I got married when I was like 31. When I think about marriage now, I think about partnership. Really having a partner in every sense of the word now. Not just a partner for this and maybe not for that. No, I understand the institution of marriage to be a partnership with a male and a female. That's just my opinion. Okay? And we didn't have that, you guys. We didn't have a partnership. We simply did not. We simply did not. And I can wholeheartedly tell you why we did not. But here are some examples first. I believe spiritually, we were not partners. We didn't share the same spirituality, the Christian lifestyle. We were not partners in that sense. We were both Christians, but we viewed it differently. We were not equally yoked at all. For me, at that time, in that stage in my life, oh, you're a Christian, you love your mama, you are in school or graduated college, you have a good job, let's go. But I really didn't understand what a partnership and what it really was. And I won't speak for him, but I think for him also, I don't think he fully understood as well. But maybe he can explain himself. And I won't speak for him. I don't even want to get in the habit of speaking for him. But for me, I remember being in my late 20s, intentionally dating, wanting to meet someone, wanting to get married. The desire was there. However, also the desire to have children. Oh my God. When they tell you that biological clock is ticking, mine was ticking, and it was ticking loudly. It was like, I'm in my 30s, I gotta get married, and I have got to have children. By all means necessary. That's where I was. And I don't want to say desperate people make desperate decisions, even though they do. Yeah, be honest. I was desperate. Yeah, I was desperate. I'm the kind of person where I am full of calendars. Anyone who knows me knows that I have calendars for days, and I have calendars for everything. I'm the kind of person, I have the next 6 months planned out, the next year planned out, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I have my children's lives planned out. I have everything planned out. Now I'm a little bit more mature. I don't expect things to go exactly the way I want them to, but I have a goal. I am a dreamer. I am a visionary. I see where I would like to be and how I'd like to get there in this period of time. I'm that person. And so 31 was not going to find me unmarried without children. By the grace of God, I think that he brought someone into my life that was a good man. And I'll say this for the record, without any hypocrisy. My ex-husband is a good man. He is a good Black man. He loves his children. He is hardworking. He is caring. He is a good man. He is a good son. He is a good father to his children. And he was a good husband. Yeah. He was a good husband. I won't take that away from him. One thing I've come to realize when it comes to marriage and dating, one thing I have really, really come to realize, that for one, life is very spiritual. It's more spiritual than it is natural. We can talk about that on a whole different topic, on a whole different podcast. And I could say today, I fully understand that the devil's primary goal in life is to keep families broken, marriages broken, to add confusion to the relationship between a male and a female. Because it says in the scriptures, where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, you can move mountains. And because marriage is such a pure direct reflection of God's love for his church, I believe it to be something that the devil absolutely detests. And he will fight tooth and nail to destroy that. Wherever there is a weakness, forget it. Forget it. He's going to sneak in there and he is going to cause mayhem. So with that being said, my ex-husband was a good man. And I tell him that all the time, even now. I tell him that he's a good guy. Hence why we're still good friends. We talk on the phone all the time. He's a good man. And I was a good woman. Definitely, I was a good woman. I do believe we were very ill-equipped for marriage. I believe we grew up seeing marriage. Everyone in our families were married. There weren't a lot of broken homes. And there was longevity in those marriages. Now, were those marriages perfect? No. No. Were they perfect? No. But they existed. I grew up seeing men in my family being very masculine. And I grew up seeing the women in my family being masculine as well. But their femininity always showed through. However, we grew up seeing that and we knew that we wanted to emulate that when we got older. Well, I wanted to emulate that when I got older. I wanted to be married. I wanted to also have children. Having children out of wedlock was not an option. Things like that. Happy home. It was as though you go to college, you finish college, you're making money, start a family. And for me, that was what was at the forefront. That was what was at the forefront. The 2008 crash happened. I was making a career change, and I was like, look, if I don't stop and make time for family and marriage right now, I am going to miss my window. So put a pin right there. So all the men and women out there, well, really, the women out there, listen, don't subscribe to this feminist movement, ladies. Don't subscribe to it. I'm not saying don't get your education, make your money, so on and so forth, but don't miss your window of opportunity to start a family. Like, don't miss that. Because they'll sell you a pipe dream. Oh, I don't need a man. No. You need a man. Yes, you do. You could debate me on this if you want to. You could call me, email me, put it in the comments, whatever. You need a man, okay? We'll talk about that another time. But I knew that's what I wanted. I knew I needed to carve out some time to start a family. But the desire, the pressures was so overwhelming. I knew that I could have made a better decision. I could have made a better decision at a different time. And I could have dealt and healed before I made that decision. So what do I mean by that? I feel like a lot of times we are walking around this world with childhood traumas not healed, and we are trauma bonding ourselves to other people. That is not love, guys. That's trauma bonding. Empaths and narcissists is a great example. Narcissists attract empaths. Empaths attract narcissists. It just works in terms of the attraction. But the relationship suffers greatly. It suffers greatly. And when I think about it, and I said, you know what? once I realized it and going through my healing journey, once I sat down with myself and I was going through the healing process and I was doing the work, I sat here and I said, you know what? I've never been in a marriage. I've been married, but I've never been in a marriage. While I was married for those 9 years, there was never, scarcely, did it feel like a partnership. It didn't feel like a partnership. It definitely felt unequally yoked. It felt strenuous. Everything was hard. Everything was hard. I felt myself depleting. I go over it in my book. Booked, Busy, and Broke, which you can find on Amazon and all the links in this podcast. There was a moment. There was a moment that I think I walked past the mirror. Well, there were two instances. There was a moment I remember walking past the mirror and I was just like, who is that? What is that? And there was another time when we took a family photo at the time, and when we it's funny now, but it wasn't funny at the time. When I got the photo back, I cried, and I cried, and I cried some more. Because I knew that wasn't me. That wasn't me. It wasn't me. The reflection I saw staring back at me was a woman who was always in survival mode. Always in a state of high anxiety, high panic, worry, stress, and full of hatred. Guys, that was a time period that I really didn't know myself. I always say this, and it's in my book as well. I talk about this. When I was 12 years old, my father was murdered. He was murdered. He was shot and killed while on duty. He was a yellow cab taxi driver in Manhattan. He was shot and killed on the Lower East Side in the early 90s. And I remember as a child, I never had any hatred or anger towards the guy that killed him. I just never had those feelings. I never harbored animosity, and I just never did. I was hurt that my dad wasn't here, and I just really didn't deal with the emotions I had towards this person. But I know I did not have emotions of hate. I did not hate that person, and I was not angry with him. I was angry that my father wasn't here, but I wasn't angry towards this person that killed him or have hatred. But baby, I hated being married. I hated being married. And now that takes a lot for me to say, because I believe in the institution of marriage. I believe in love. Like, I am that. Woo! I am that Disney fairy tale. Oh my God, I am a sucker for love. But while in my marriage, oh, I hated it. And I hated it with a passion. Yeah, I hated it. can judge me if you want to. I hated it. And I remember talking to my mom and told her, Mom, I have so much hate. Hate for what? I just hated my situation. I hated my situation. I hated that I didn't have a partnership in my marriage. I hated that I didn't have communication in my marriage. I hated that I wasn't getting my needs met. I hated. And that hatred took me to a place where I had never been in my life before. I remember calling my mom and I said, Mom, I need you to help me because I do not feel like myself. I have a lot of hatred in my heart, and I have never harbored hatred in my heart before. She told me, okay, let's pray for God to remove that hatred out of your heart. Because it's not healthy. It was not healthy. It was literally eating me from the inside out. I had a lot of emotions and a lot of anger that I did not know what to do with. And I grew up in a culture that really didn't believe in therapy. Let's be for real. Haitians don't believe in therapy. Christian Haitians don't believe in therapy. Let's be for real here. So I had nowhere to go with that because I wasn't going to take that to just any old body, right? And I definitely wasn't going to take it to my spouse. He was a person I hated in a relationship. But I know I couldn't get past my anger and hatred, and I needed to do something about it, like ASAP. And so I remember making a very sincere prayer, and I asked God, I said, please, remove the hate in my heart. I know I cannot begin to get past anything until the hate is removed. It's too strong, it's too powerful. And I'll never forget, I woke up the following day and I just had a determination to change my life. I had a determination to stop arguing, to stop fighting, stop making requests, stop giving an opinion. I had a great desire to stop everything. And I remember that. And I remember walking into the room where my ex at the time was watching basketball. And I quietly, calmly walked into the room and I said, I want a divorce. And he replied, okay. I don't know what that meant to him at that time. I don't know what he understood at that time when I said it. But when I walked into the room that day and I said I wanted a divorce, it was over for me. So that's pretty much how I was feeling in a marriage. And if I could really, really unpack it, the biggest part for me was that I was never in a partnership. Marriage is a partnership for me. The Bible says, marry someone that you can go to war with. I couldn't go to war with anyone in that marriage, especially if the person I was going to war with was the person I was married to. I believe we were very young, not in age, not young in age, but young in maturity. Definitely young in emotional intelligence. I believe we were selfish. We weren't really trying to satisfy each other's needs. Maybe in the beginning, but definitely not in the middle towards the end. And I say it over and over, communication is key. I remember there was a time where, like, I could pull them out. I have journals that I've kept for years because I was unable to communicate with my spouse. So I wrote a lot. I journaled a lot. I wrote about feelings and thoughts and dreams of how to get out of situations. I wrote and I wrote and I wrote. I wrote sticky notes. I wrote a lot because I was unable to communicate to him, to anyone at that. And I worked a lot. I worked a lot. I stayed up well into the wee hours of the morning. I worked a lot as a means to just cope and escape. So I was married, but I was never in a marriage, guys. Never. And I don't know what a marriage looks like. I don't know what that feels like. I can't write a blueprint on that. You know, I mean, can I? Yeah, I can on what I think it should look like. But me, I have never experienced being in a marriage. Because oftentimes people ask me about my divorce, how did I arrive to my divorce, how I knew it was time to get a divorce. And I'm asked the question, did I love him? I've been asked that many times. And my answer to that is yes. In the beginning, I loved him. But that love quickly turned to hate. For many reasons that do not need to be discussed here. But the main reason being that there was not a partnership. I often embodied the masculine role in my marriage for myself. I just remember constantly being in survival mode, constantly doing for myself, protecting myself, providing for myself. So therefore, where is the need to be married? If I can do all these things on my own for myself, I'm confused. What's the point of being married? Someone is just taking up space in my eyes. So, it got to a very dark place for me. It got to a very dark place. So at the time, I knew that I was giving birth to my last daughter. Because when I asked for the divorce, I was pregnant with her. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people thought, oh, she's just emotional and no. I'll say this, I'll put this out there, and a lot of you already know this. When a woman reaches her breaking point, I don't think that there's anything you can really do at that point. When a woman's fed up, y'all know the song, I don't think there's really much anyone can do or say. So at this point, I just remember saying to myself, you know what? My glasses just fell. I remember saying to myself, you know what? I am going to have this baby. I am going to breastfeed this baby for a year. Even though Riley did not want to breastfeed for a year. She looked at my nipple and was like, oh, hell no. Anyway, so I said that I was going to lose all this baby fat, get myself together, save money. Oh, guys, I plotted. Yes, I did. I plotted and I planned. So you guys got to be very careful. Once a woman starts plotting and planning, it's over, okay? And she usually gives you signs. Lots of signs. The first sign is she stops arguing. That's the first one. She stops arguing. She starts defending her. She's just like, whatever. So once you see that, brother, It's over. And just something broke in me. Something broke in me. It was like, look, get back to you. Get back to fab. The dope fab, the dope dressing fab, the fly fab, hair done fab, nails done fab, optimistic fab, happy fab, go-getter fab, loving fab, cheerful fab. I wanted her back. I wanted her back, and I wanted her back bad. So I worked towards that. Yeah. And I've never looked back. And I make no apologies. Is divorce easy? First of all, divorce is not what everyone thinks it is. I'm going to let you know that now. It is not a solution. It's not better on the other side. It's none of what you think it is. I don't wish divorce on anyone. And I really do believe if you can, with therapy, if you can work it out, my God, get therapy and work it out. Especially in this day and age, ain't nothing out here. Okay? There's nothing out here. Oh, but you out here, fab. No, I am hidden. Okay? I am home. I am hidden. But yeah, divorce is whatever you think divorce is, it's not that. It's not that. It's not that. And on the contrary, if you do meet someone who's pulled themselves out of a long-term relationship and pulled themselves out of a marriage and is now divorced, like that person, they're not gonna waste too much time. Like, you know, I had to tell someone this the other day. I'm like, you know, if I sacrifice my mental health and possibly my children's mental health by dragging them through a divorce from someone I was married to for 9 years, what makes you think I have 9 minutes to waste? What makes you think I have 9 minutes to waste? But that's a whole different topic. The reality is, I was married, but I have never been in a marriage. So where does that leave you now? It leaves you single, starting over again, and this is a whole different world. Like when I got married, when I was like 30, 31, it was just 2011 to now, it's just a completely different time. It's a completely different time. So you're starting over. You're relearning yourself. You're healing. You're going through the process of what was to what is. You're starting a new chapter in your life. And if you have children, you're navigating through those waters of their emotions and their feelings and trying to make them feel seen and that make them feel protected. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. And it's not a game. So like, you know, when I say pick your spouse wisely, like you hear it all over the internet. It is one of the biggest decisions you really have to make in your life. Who you marry can make or break your career. Like for real, for real. If you have goals in life, dreams in life, who you marry can either push you towards those goals or hold you back. I don't want to start preaching up in here. Okay? So yes, I know a lot of us would like to get married. We would like to find our person. But there's a partnership that has to be built from that. Like, it's more than just, oh, how she dresses, what she's bringing to the table, what he's bringing to the table, how much money he makes, how tall it's so much more than that. It's so much more than that. I advise everyone to raise your emotional intelligence. Heal from your childhood traumas, because guys, you bring that into your relationships. Consciously and unconsciously, you will bring that into your relationships. I knew that my father was murdered when I was young. I didn't grow up with my father, although I had several father figures, uncles, mentors, brothers in my church, pastors, my friends' fathers were like fathers to me. However, my dad was gone. Yeah, my father was gone. So there was always an emptiness. There was always an emptiness. And the feeling of abandonment, it overshadowed my life. So when you're dating from a place of always feeling abandoned, like if you meet someone and they're giving you just enough, they're breadcrumbing you and giving you just enough to sustain you, if you have feelings of abandonment, you will never leave that person. And you'll deal with a lot of stuff that they put you through. And I know for me, that was a driving force behind a lot of my failed relationships, was my spirit of abandonment, feelings of abandonment. Oh, he likes me. We get along. He just breadcrumbs me a little bit of whatever. I was eating it up. And I was faithful. I'm faithful. I'm staying there and I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere. So I know that was the driving force behind a lot of my failed relationships, was feelings of abandonment. But once I started to heal from my childhood trauma, get back in the driver's seat of my life, no, if you're breadcrumbing me, that's good for you. I'm not sticking around for that. I know my value now. No, I'm not. No, that's not good enough for me. That's not good enough for me. Okay? I know my value. I know my worth. I have my boundaries in place. And I know what I will and will not accept. That's it. Okay? But it took it took time to get here, guys. It took time to get here. And you will read about it in my book. You will read about it in my book. It took a long time to get here. But once you're there, my God, it is so empowering. It's so empowering. So yes, I was married, but I was never in a marriage. So what does that look like for you now? Like I stated before, when you meet someone now, it's asking the right questions that gives me insight into their level of emotional intelligence. That's the driving force for me. Asking the questions that, it's more than just, where did you go to school? What kind of work do you do? How much money you make? Where do you live? Do you have children? No, it goes above and beyond that. It's, give me a scenario where you felt empowered in life. Tell me about one of your biggest failures. Like, how did you deal with that? Just thought-provoking questions that you can get some insight into the person's character. Because everybody's cool when everything's going right. But how are they when things are going bad? Do they suffer from high anxiety? Do they scream, yell, and shout when they're angry? Do they clam up? Like, that's what dating is for. Dating is for, like, gathering info. Like, it's not just for, like, going out to different restaurants to eat and be. No, it's gathering information. Because marriage is not a joke, y'all. Like, marriage is not a joke. Waking up next to someone that you cannot stand it's a problem. It's a problem. Waking up to someone that you can't talk to, you can't communicate with, you're not happy with, like, oh my gosh, like, there was a meme floating around that had the picture of a wedding ring. And it said it was one of life's smallest handcuffs. For me, it felt like a chokehold. From the perspective that I was not living at my full potential, I was not doing the things that I wanted to do. It was not the image of marriage I had in my mind. And it drove me insane. So marriage is not a joke. Marriage is not a joke. It is not a joke. And it's not a game. So someone asked me in conclusion, like, so do you still believe in love? Would you get married again? Yes, I would. From the standpoint that I am doing the work. And I am healed from past traumas. From childhood trauma. However, there are some more recent traumas that I'm still navigating through, but I feel better equipped. There's more information, there's more context, there's more communication, there's knowing myself, there's having boundaries, there's holding myself accountable, having accountability partners, there's help. Because the desire to be married is natural. God gave it to us. The desire to be married, to want to share your life and become one with someone else, it is a natural desire. And if you have it, because I used to think that God will send you a man or he will send you a woman. No, I believe that God gives us all free will. He's not sending us anyone. He will parade someone. He will allow you to meet someone, but I have the decision to pick that person or not. So I no longer be like, oh God, you sent me this husband. No. My prayers now is just, God, allow me to meet people who are equally yoked and on the same playing field as I am. And give me the grace, wisdom, and discernment to make that right decision based off of the information I have. So yeah, I would get married again. But the beauty of it at this age, being divorced, is there is no rush. There is, I have children already, I have a home already, career, life. I have those things already. So there's no rush. Now, there is no rush. So I can take my time and get to know someone for who they are and how we can equally give and pour into one another. So my advice to anyone out there who's looking to get married is to first, like I said, heal yourself. Heal your inner child, childhood traumas. Heal from that. Set your boundaries and raise your emotional intelligence. And at that point, you won't even have to really look for anyone. They will come to you because you will attract them to you because you're healed and you're a healthier version of yourself. Well, that's all I have for you guys. I hope this segment helped someone. I hope it gave insight to someone. Yeah, marriage is not a game, guys. It's not a game. It's some real stuff. And those who are married and who might be going through some tough times, get therapy. Get therapy. It's okay. It's okay. And if you are married, keep people who are not married out of your business. Keep your mothers, your mother-in-laws, your sisters, your brothers, keep them out of your marriage. Yeah, keep them out of your marriage. Sit down with your spouse and talk. Communication is key. Talk. I don't care how bad, how ugly it looks. Talk. Get back to the first day that you guys met and those feelings and emotions you had at that time. If there's childhood trauma to heal from, then heal yourself. Raise your emotional intelligence. Don't just blow up at everything. Like, relax. Calm yourself down. Handle your stressors. But seek help if you need it. So that's really all I have for you guys. Thank you for listening in. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button. Get my book. It is out. Booked, Busy, and Broke. It's on Amazon. It's also on my website, www.thefabpreneur.com. And my e-course is out on the mindset shift. Yeah. Because all of that healing and growth is gonna cause your mindset to shift. And I feel that any marriage can be saved if two people are willing. As long as two people agree, man, you can move mountains. You can move mountains. I'll find the verse and I'll put it in the scripture, but just 2 or 3 people, once they get together and they agree, whatsoever they ask in God's name, it is theirs. It's yours. You just gotta grab it and you gotta want it. But anyway, so follow me, guys. Thank you so much for hearing a girl out. Love you. Bye.